Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to me very carefully. When life feels heavy, when the world seems to conspire against your dreams, remember this: it is not the mountain that defeats you, but the way you choose to climb it. Most people look at their circumstances and say, "How can I rise with all this weight on my shoulders?" But the truth is simple. It's not the weight, it's how you carry it. Your attitude is the wind beneath your wings. It can lift you beyond limits or hold you down in despair. Two people can face the same storm. One sees destruction, the other sees cleansing. One curses the rain, the other dances in it. And that single difference in attitude creates entirely different lives. If you want to know your future, don't look at your situation, look at your state of mind. Because every thought is a seed, and your inner world is the soil. Plant negativity, and you'll harvest excuses. Plant gratitude, and you'll harvest growth. Plant faith, and you'll see miracles where others see misfortune. You see, altitude isn't about reaching higher places in the world. It's about reaching higher levels within yourself. It's when you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single question transforms pain into purpose, obstacles into opportunities, and setbacks into the soil of strength. Your attitude is your compass. It points you toward light or darkness, peace or chaos, growth or decay. You cannot control what the world throws at you, but you can control how you respond. And that response, that inner choice, is what defines your altitude. Think of a bird flying through a storm. The wind that tries to push it down is the same wind it uses to rise higher. The difference is in the wings, the strength of attitude. So when life becomes turbulent, adjust your wings. Do not curse the wind. Use it. Let it lift you to places you never imagined possible. People often wait for life to get easier before they smile, before they act, before they believe again. But life doesn't bend to your comfort. It expands with your courage. The higher your attitude, the lighter your spirit becomes. You begin to see problems not as punishments, but as pathways. You stop reacting to life and start responding with wisdom. Understand this deeply. You are not what happens to you. You are what you decide to become after it happens. That is where your power lives. That is where altitude is born. If you wish to rise, rise first within. Choose gratitude over complaint. Choose effort over excuses. Choose faith over fear. And suddenly, you'll notice that the world you live in was never against you. It was simply reflecting the altitude of your attitude. Because life is not measured by what you reach, but by how you rise. And when your attitude aligns with purpose, peace, and resilience, there is no limit to how high you can go. Perception shapes reality, a statement so simple, yet so misunderstood. Most people live as if life happens to them rather than through them. They think happiness is something to be found outside in circumstances, achievements, or approval. But the deeper truth is that nothing outside of you has the power to define your experience until you give it meaning. It's not the world that changes. It's the way you see it that changes the world. When you wake up in the morning and the first thought that crosses your mind is one of gratitude, your entire day unfolds with possibility. The same morning for another person may begin with complaint, and they will spend the day searching for evidence that life is unfair. Both live under the same sky, breathe the same air, walk the same earth, yet they exist in entirely different realities. This is the quiet power of perception. It is not about denial or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about choosing how to see pain. You can see it as an enemy sent to break you, or as a messenger sent to teach you something only discomfort can reveal. The world mirrors your internal state. If you carry bitterness, you will notice betrayal everywhere. If you carry peace, you will find calm even in chaos. Life doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your vibration. Every perception acts as a lens. Some lenses distort, others clarify. When you look through fear, everything appears as a threat. When you look through love, everything becomes a lesson. The question is not, what is happening? But rather, from what level of understanding am I perceiving this? Because perception isn't passive, it is a choice, one that defines the quality of your life more than any external event ever could. People often wait for their lives to change before they allow themselves to feel better. They believe, when I have more money, I'll be happy. When I find love, I'll feel whole. When I succeed, I'll be confident. But reality does not work that way. It's your inner condition that shapes your outer world, not the other way around. The universe reflects what you project. If your thoughts are filled with lack, you will continue to attract situations that confirm that lack. But if you carry abundance in your heart, even when you have little, you begin to magnetize opportunities that match that inner frequency. Consider two people standing in the rain. One curses the weather, seeing it as an inconvenience. The other closes their eyes and smiles, feeling the drops as a reminder that they are alive. The rain is the same. The difference lies in perception. This is how powerful your inner lens is. It can turn ordinary moments into miracles or blessings into burdens. How you interpret reality determines whether you live as a victim or a creator. And this is why true transformation never begins with changing your circumstances. It begins with changing your vision. If you see the world as hostile, you will move through it with tension and defense. But if you see it as a teacher, every challenge becomes a classroom, and every setback a lesson in disguise. Perception is the foundation of attitude, and attitude builds the altitude of your life. The higher your perception, the lighter your burdens feel. Even science reflects this truth. Perception shapes response. When you expect something to hurt, your body tenses before it even happens. When you expect something to heal, your body begins the process of restoration. Your mind is the architect of your experience. Whatever meaning you attach to a moment becomes the structure of your reality. So if you wish to elevate your life, begin by elevating your interpretation of it. The mind can be a prison or a passage. When you dwell on what is missing, you are trapped in scarcity. But when you focus on what remains, you move into gratitude. And gratitude is not a reaction. It's a decision. It says, even if life is not perfect, I will not let that steal my peace. That simple shift in perception releases a wave of calm strength that no circumstance can take away. Many people think perception is fixed, shaped by past experiences or personality. But perception is alive. It evolves with awareness. The more you awaken to how your mind colors reality, the more power you have to choose new meanings. You may not be able to change what happened, but you can always change how you carry it. The past does not define you. Your perception of it does. When you begin to see life as a mirror, everything becomes a reflection of your inner state. If you meet cruelty, It invites you to examine where you've hardened your own heart. If you encounter kindness, it reminds you of your own capacity for grace. Every encounter is feedback, not punishment. The higher your perception, the more clearly you can see that life is not random, it's responsive. It speaks to the energy you emit through thought and attitude. Perception is the birthplace of power. It decides whether failure becomes fuel or defeat, whether pain becomes wisdom or bitterness, whether solitude becomes peace or loneliness. When you understand this, you stop trying to control the world and start mastering your mind. Because you realize the view only improves when the observer does. And so the next time you face a storm, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask instead, "What is this showing me about my perception?" That question alone lifts you higher than fear ever could. Because life doesn't hand out peace, it mirrors the peace you create within. When you rise in perception, your reality follows. That is how attitude determines altitude, and it begins right here with how you choose to see. What you expect from life often becomes what life gives you. This is not a coincidence. It is a law as subtle as gravity, shaping every moment of your experience. Belief is the silent architect of destiny. The energy of belief is what drives you, heals you, limits you, or sets you free. What you believe about yourself determines what you will allow yourself to experience. If you believe you are powerless, you will unconsciously create situations that reinforce that story. But if you believe you are capable, resilient, and worthy, life begins to rearrange itself to match that conviction. You see, the world doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy, and belief is energy in its purest form. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve. A person filled with self-doubt can speak all the affirmations in the world, but their energy still whispers uncertainty. Another person may say nothing but carry quiet confidence within them, and somehow doors open for them effortlessly. The difference is belief. One pushes from fear, the other moves from knowing. Belief is not simply thinking something is true. It is feeling it in your bones before there's any evidence. It is the calm assurance that even if the path ahead is unclear, something within you is guiding the way. When you hold that inner conviction, the universe bends to meet your certainty. Life tests it, yes, but not to break it. The challenges you face are not proofs of your weakness. They are invitations to strengthen your belief. Many people misunderstand belief as blind optimism. They think it means pretending everything is perfect. But true belief isn't about ignoring reality. It's about recognizing that your perception of reality is still unfolding. It's knowing that your current situation is not your final destination. It's trusting that even in chaos there's a hidden order moving things in your favor. Belief is the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. And without it, even the most beautiful opportunities will look like impossibilities. Your energy of belief creates a frequency, an invisible signal that communicates your expectations to life itself. When you expect disappointment, you subconsciously prepare for it. You notice every reason why things won't work out, and you attract people who mirror that energy back to you. But when you expect good, when you believe that the best is yet to come, your mind opens to possibilities you couldn't see before. Suddenly, the same world that once seemed cold begins to show warmth, synchronicities, and support. This is why it's said that faith can move mountains, not because it changes the mountain, but because it changes the climber. The mountain becomes less of an obstacle and more of a journey. The climb becomes purposeful. Every slip, every wound becomes part of the ascent. Belief gives you vision, and vision gives you endurance. It's not that the road gets easier, it's that you get stronger. Belief is delicate. It requires constant nurturing. One negative thought left unchecked can erode it. That's why awareness is essential, because your mind is always listening to the story you tell yourself. When you say, I can't, your energy contracts. When you say, I can, it expands. The more you repeat either, the more your body, emotions, and life respond in alignment. Your inner dialogue becomes your outer experience. What do you truly believe about yourself? That you are unlucky? That you always struggle? That life is hard? These beliefs quietly sculpt the architecture of your reality. The mind loves patterns, and once it accepts a belief, it looks for proof to sustain it. But here's the truth: every belief is a choice, and you can choose differently. You can rewire your thoughts, rebuild your expectations, and reframe your vision. It doesn't happen overnight, but every time you choose hope over fear, belief grows stronger. Belief also carries a spiritual rhythm. It connects you to something beyond logic. There are times when no evidence exists, no reason to continue, yet you still do. That is belief in its purest form. It's the moment when reason steps aside and intuition takes over. It's when you walk forward, not because you can see the entire path, but because you trust that each step will reveal the next. The energy of belief is magnetic. It draws towards you people, situations, and timing that align with your vibration. The stronger your belief, the clearer the signal. That's why those who believe deeply in their purpose often seem lucky. Not because fate favors them, but because they are attuned to opportunities others overlook. Their energy says, I am ready, and life responds. And even when belief wavers, as it sometimes will, that's not failure. Doubt is part of belief's evolution. Every challenge to your faith is a test of how rooted it truly is. The universe asks, do you still believe when you can't see? Because if you can hold belief through uncertainty, it turns from mere hope into power. Think of the seed planted in the soil. It cannot see the sunlight, yet it grows upward, trusting that light exists. That is what belief does. It moves you toward your higher potential long before the outcome appears. You become the seed, driven not by sight but by knowing. When life feels uncertain, don't lose faith in the unseen forces that work silently on your behalf. Don't let temporary setbacks convince you that belief is wasted, because everything you hold in conviction eventually manifests, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always perfectly timed. Your belief is your signature in the fabric of reality. The energy you send out returns multiplied, so believe not out of desperation, but out of awareness. Believe because it aligns you with the truth of who you are, infinite, capable, and divinely guided. Remember this always: what you expect from life is what life expects from you. And when your belief is strong, calm, and unwavering, even the impossible begins to bow before your energy. The energy you carry determines what you attract and what you repel. Everything in existence operates on frequency, from sound to emotion, from thought to manifestation. Life itself is a grand symphony of energy, and you are both the musician and the instrument. The vibration you emit through your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs becomes the signal that shapes your experience. This is why two people can walk through the same world and live entirely different lives, not because the world favors one over the other, but because they vibrate on different frequencies. Your attitude, your emotional state, is your frequency. When you live with resentment, worry, or bitterness, you resonate at a low vibration. You attract confusion, conflict, and heaviness, because energy seeks its reflection. But when your attitude is rooted in gratitude, peace, and confidence, your energy becomes light, and light attracts light. Suddenly, things seem to fall into place. You meet the right people, you find opportunities in unexpected places, and life begins to respond to you with the same warmth you radiate. Everything you think, every feeling you nurture is a form of energy in motion. If you constantly carry thoughts like, "Nothing works out for me," that vibration becomes a silent magnet for disappointment. The world mirrors your inner dialogue. On the other hand, when you carry an unshakable sense of possibility, even in darkness, you begin to notice open doors where others see walls. You cannot attract abundance while thinking scarcity. You cannot experience peace while vibrating in fear. The frequency must match the destination. Think of a radio. Every channel already exists, but you can only hear the one you tune into. Life works the same way. The reality you experience depends on what you're tuned to internally. If you tune into anger, you'll notice everything that justifies it. If you tune into love, you'll find reasons to feel grateful. The external world doesn't decide the song. Your internal state does. Your attitude is the dial, and your altitude, the quality of your life, depends on how consciously you tune it. What most people don't realize is that energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right words, smile at the right time, or pretend to be positive, but the vibration you carry always tells the truth. The universe responds not to what you say, but to what you feel. You can't fake frequency. It comes from the depths of your consciousness, from what you genuinely believe about yourself and the world. This is why self-awareness is so important. You must know what energy you're giving off before expecting the world to mirror something different. Low energy doesn't make you bad, it makes you disconnected. The moment you shift from resistance to acceptance, your frequency begins to rise. The act of letting go is one of the most powerful ways to elevate your energy. When you stop clinging to outcomes, when you release the need to control others or justify yourself, your vibration lightens. You stop being magnetic to chaos. Instead, you start attracting peace, clarity, and synchronicity. The beautiful coincidences that seem like miracles, but are actually the universe aligning with your frequency. Your attitude determines how energy flows through you. Negativity blocks the current. Positivity allows it to circulate. It's like a river. When the mind is cluttered with judgment and fear, the current stagnates. But when the heart opens with gratitude and trust, energy moves freely, nourishing every part of your being. That flow attracts situations and people that feel effortless. Have you ever noticed that when you're genuinely happy, more good things seem to happen? That's not luck, that's resonance. Every emotion you feel sends out a signal. Fear says, "I don't believe." Anger says, "I resist." Gratitude says, "I receive." Love says, "I expand." The more time you spend in higher emotional states, the more your outer world transforms to reflect that expansion. The power lies not in chasing better circumstances, but in elevating your vibration so that better circumstances are naturally drawn to you. Sometimes life removes people or situations that no longer match your energy. It can feel like loss, but it's actually alignment. When you rise in frequency, everything that vibrates lower must fall away. You don't lose, you evolve. This is why attitude matters so deeply. It is not just about how you react to life, but how you energetically align with it. A calm, confident, and grateful mind cannot stay in the company of chaos for long. Energy always seeks harmony. If you want to change what you attract, you must first change what you emit. Ask yourself, what energy am I giving to the world right now? If your heart is filled with envy, you will see reasons to envy. If it's filled with peace, you will see reasons to feel at peace. The world simply mirrors your vibration back to you in infinite forms. You are never truly at the mercy of circumstances. You are always in dialogue with your own frequency. Even silence speaks energy. You can walk into a room and sense peace or feel tension without a single word being said. There is great power in neutrality, the space between reaction and response. Why me reacts impulsively, emotionally, from fear. What now pauses, observes, and chooses. It doesn't waste energy resisting what already is. It channels that energy into creation. When you stop asking why, you stop feeding confusion. When you start asking what now, you invite clarity. It's like turning a key in a locked door. Suddenly, light enters a dark room. You begin to realize that even when life breaks your plans, it's not breaking you. It's preparing you for a new way of being. Life constantly asks you to evolve, but evolution always demands discomfort. Growth isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be transformative. The what now mindset accepts this truth. It welcomes discomfort as part of awakening. When something leaves your life, a relationship, a job, an identity, the question, what now, shifts your focus from loss to possibility. It helps you move from grief to gratitude, from fear to faith. You begin to trust that endings are not punishments. They are invitations to rise higher. The shift from victim to creator doesn't mean you stop feeling pain. It means you stop letting pain paralyze you. You understand that power doesn't come from control. It comes from alignment. When you say, what now? You are aligning with life rather than opposing it. You begin to notice signs, opportunities, and people who help you grow. You stop seeing yourself as unlucky and start seeing yourself as guided. Every setback becomes sacred. Every detour becomes direction. Over time, this way of living becomes natural. You no longer react with fear to uncertainty. You approach it with curiosity. You no longer drown in disappointment. You navigate through it with patience. The what now mindset turns chaos into clarity and resistance into resilience. It teaches you to move through life as a participant, not a prisoner. You realize that the question, why me, was never meant to be answered. It was meant to be transcended. The world doesn't owe you explanations. It offers you experiences. And every experience, no matter how painful, is a step in your awakening. What now is the mantra of the awakened mind, a quiet acceptance that says, I will not waste time asking for fairness. I will use what I've been given to rise. When life feels heavy and confusion clouds your path, remember this. You can always ask, what now? You can always return to the present where power resides. Because in that moment, you stop being a victim of your story and start being the author of it. And that is where altitude truly begins, in the courage to respond with consciousness instead of complaint. Struggles aren't barriers. They are winds that lift you higher if your wings are steady. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable has faced hardship, loss, and moments of deep doubt. Yet the difference between those who rise and those who fall isn't the absence of struggle. It's the way they choose to fly through it. Life's challenges are not designed to destroy you. They are designed to strengthen your foundation, sharpen your mind, and awaken your inner power. Just as the eagle uses the pressure of the storm to soar above the clouds, your struggles contain the very energy you need to rise. When everything in life feels against you, that's not a sign to stop. It's a signal that you are being tested. The universe doesn't test you to watch you suffer. It tests you to see if your spirit can endure. Each obstacle is a form of altitude training, preparing you for greater heights. If you've ever noticed, airplanes take off against the wind, not with it. The resistance creates the lift. In the same way, your hardships are not meant to break your wings, but to teach you how to navigate with strength, patience, and purpose. The problem is not that life becomes hard, it's that we expect it to be easy. We mistake comfort for progress and peace for stillness. But no mountain climber reaches the summit without battling gravity. Growth feels heavy because it's pulling you upward. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure carries a hidden lesson. A whisper saying, "There's more to you than you think." But most people, instead of listening to that whisper, choose to run from it. They let the weight of struggle define them rather than refine them. When you shift your perception, everything changes. Instead of seeing difficulty as punishment, you start seeing it as preparation. That's the language of vibration, unseen but unmistakable. And your life is filled with this same language. When things feel heavy, it's not a punishment, it's feedback, showing you where your energy has fallen out of balance. Every moment invites you to recalibrate. Raise your energy not through force, but through awareness. Breathe deeply. Forgive quickly. Appreciate often. Let go of what drains you. Speak truth without aggression. Love without demand. Each of these acts lifts your vibration, and as your energy rises, your reality follows. Opportunities seem to appear, not because they suddenly exist, but because you finally reach the frequency where they always were. Attitude is nothing more than energy expressed through perspective. And altitude, how high you rise, is a direct reflection of that energy. So, become conscious of your vibration. Protect it, refine it, and live in alignment with it. Because the energy you carry is not just shaping your future, it is broadcasting your destiny. The moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" is the moment your life begins to transform. That simple shift in attitude marks the difference between living as a victim of circumstance and rising as a creator of destiny. The energy behind each question is entirely different. Why me? Traps you in blame, resistance, and helplessness. It keeps you searching for reasons, explanations, and villains. But what now? Opens a doorway, a pathway toward acceptance, learning, and growth. It says, "I may not understand everything that's happening, but I am willing to respond with strength and wisdom." And that willingness is where transformation begins. Life does not stop throwing challenges your way. Pain, loss, and disappointment visit every human being. But the meaning you give those experiences decides how deeply they wound you or how profoundly they awaken you. The question, why me, is rooted in the illusion that life should be fair according to our personal expectations. It assumes we are owed comfort and certainty. But life, in its mysterious design, does not move according to our desires. It moves according to our evolution. Every challenge carries a hidden message, a lesson meant to refine our perception, strengthen our character, and expand our soul. When you understand this, even pain becomes a teacher. The victim mindset is seductive because it demands nothing of you except pity. It says, life happens to me, and I can do nothing about it. But the truth is, this mindset quietly steals your power. It leaves you waiting for rescue rather than rising in responsibility. What now is the antidote. It doesn't ignore pain. It transforms it into momentum. It acknowledges the wound, but refuses to be defined by it. It says, this has happened, yes, but what can I do with it? What can I learn, build, or become through this? That is the moment you shift from powerless to powerful. When you live in the why me energy, you recycle the same emotions, anger, resentment, fear. You talk about what went wrong and replay the same story until it becomes your identity. You attract more of the same energy because you haven't learned the lesson that life was trying to show you. But when you live in the what now energy, you begin to evolve. You stop rehearsing pain and start rewriting your path. You use adversity as raw material for wisdom. Suddenly you're not running from life. You're flowing with it, even when it's unpredictable. This mindset shift doesn't come from denial or forced positivity. It comes from awareness, from realizing that your perception is more powerful than your circumstances. Every person who has risen above great suffering shares this common trait. They stopped fighting reality and started responding to it with purpose. They turned their wounds into wisdom, their pain into presence. They discovered that acceptance is not surrender, it's clarity. It's the realization that while you cannot always control what happens, you can always control how you meet it. Ask yourself, how many times have you faced something that once seemed unbearable, only to look back later and realize it was shaping you for something greater? That heartbreak that forced you to find yourself, that loss that deepened your compassion, that failure that redirected your path. These moments don't come to destroy you, they come to strip away illusions, to teach you what truly matters. What now is the question that allows you to see this truth while you're still in the storm. The pain that once made you bitter begins to make you wise. The loneliness that once felt unbearable begins to teach you self-reliance. The rejection that once broke you begins to redirect you. Struggles strip away illusions. They show you who you really are and what truly matters. Without them, you would never discover your own strength. Comfort may feel good, but it rarely helps you grow. Struggles reveal the depth of your attitude. When things go wrong, you are given two choices. You can resist and collapse, or you can adjust and rise. Resistance drains your power. Acceptance channels it. A steady attitude is like a pair of strong wings. It doesn't stop the storm, but it helps you fly through it. Your attitude determines whether adversity becomes your downfall or your launch pad. If you believe life is unfair, you'll drown in self-pity. But if you believe life is a teacher, every difficulty becomes a classroom for your evolution. Consider a diamond. It's nothing more than carbon until it faces extreme pressure. The same pressure that destroys weaker structures gives the diamond its brilliance. Life works no differently. Without tension, you remain ordinary. But when you face pressure with courage and persistence, your inner brilliance begins to emerge. What you call struggle is simply your transformation in progress. Each moment of pain, if faced with awareness, polishes your character until your soul shines clearer. The winds of adversity don't stop blowing. They simply test how well you've built your wings. Many people crumble because they expect calm skies forever. But the truth is, storms are necessary. They clear the air, they awaken strength, they remind you of your capacity to endure. The greatest souls are forged in the fiercest fires. The higher your destiny, the stronger the winds that try to break you. But if you keep your heart steady, those winds won't push you down. They'll carry you higher than you've ever imagined. Every challenge has two sides, destruction or elevation. Which side you experience depends entirely on your attitude. Some people fall into despair because they see only endings. Others rise because they see beginnings hidden inside those endings. The same event that breaks one person can awaken another. The only difference lies in perspective. The one who rises asks, "What is this teaching me?" and listens deeply. They extract meaning from pain and turn wounds into wisdom. When you realize that struggle is not your enemy but your greatest ally, life begins to open up in ways you never thought possible. You stop asking for an easier path and start developing a stronger spirit. You begin to appreciate the process rather than resist it. Because deep down every challenge is sculpting you into someone capable of greater love, deeper peace, and unshakable resilience. There will be times when the weight feels unbearable, when you'll question whether you can continue. In those moments, remember this: the storm always feels strongest before it passes. Pain intensifies just before breakthrough. Growth often feels like destruction because the old version of you must die for the new one to rise. So don't curse the storm. Let it teach you how to balance, how to trust, how to fly even when the winds are harsh. True altitude isn't achieved by escaping struggle. It's achieved by transforming through it. Each difficulty you overcome adds another layer to your strength, another chapter to your wisdom. When you look back, you'll realize that the things you once feared were the very things that shaped you. The climb may be steep, the air may be thin, but every step you take upward brings you closer to clarity, purpose, and freedom. When life becomes heavy, don't fold your wings, spread them wider. Feel the wind, face it, and let it lift you. Because the same force that tries to push you down can become the very energy that helps you rise. Struggles are not there to stop you. They are there to remind you that you were born to fly. And when your wings stay steady in the storm, no force on earth can keep you from reaching your altitude. The most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you hold with yourself. Every action, decision, and emotion you experience flows from that inner dialogue, the quiet voice that narrates your life, shaping the way you see the world and the way the world sees you. You might believe that your success or failure depends on the opinions of others, but the truth is, it depends on how you speak to your own soul. That constant inner whisper either uplifts you or undermines you, builds you or breaks you. It is the unseen architect of your destiny. When you tell yourself that you are not enough, the world responds by showing you evidence to confirm it. But when you affirm your worth, even silently, the universe begins to conspire in your favor. The inner dialogue is not just thought, it is energy in motion. Every word you repeat in your mind becomes a vibration that attracts experiences matching its tone. Say to yourself that you are capable, and you'll find the strength to keep going. Say you're defeated, and even the smallest challenge will feel like a mountain. Many people live their lives as prisoners of their inner critic. They have built mental prisons with words like, "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "I always fail." These thoughts are not harmless, they are instructions. Your mind is obedient. It listens to what you feed it and creates the world you believe in. Every time you repeat a thought, you carve a deeper groove in your consciousness, and soon that groove becomes the path you walk without realizing it. You begin to think, act, and live according to that internal script. To change your life, you must first change your conversation. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply love. Replace harshness with understanding, doubt with curiosity, fear with faith. Instead of saying, "I'll never make it," say, "I'm still learning and I'm getting closer every day." Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I discovered another way that doesn't work." This isn't blind optimism, it's conscious awareness of how language shapes experience. The words you use toward yourself either open doors or close them. The mind listens carefully to the tone of your thoughts. When you approach yourself with compassion, you create an atmosphere of safety within, and from that safety comes strength. You start taking risks again. You stop shrinking to please others. You begin to believe that you deserve peace, success, and love, not because someone told you so, but because your inner dialogue confirms it every single day. The way you talk to yourself in moments of struggle defines your resilience. Anyone can be kind to themselves when life is easy, but when you fail, when things fall apart, when everything seems uncertain, that's when your inner voice reveals its true power. If you tell yourself, "I'm broken," you will stay broken. But if you whisper, "I'm healing," you will begin to rise again. You cannot stop your mind from speaking, but you can train it to speak truth instead of fear. Awareness is the first step. Notice the patterns of your thoughts. Observe the tone. Do you speak to yourself with encouragement or judgment? Are your thoughts nurturing your growth or sabotaging it? This awareness transforms you from a victim of your mind into the master of it. Remember, no one hears your inner words except you, yet they echo through every aspect of your life. They influence how you carry yourself, how you interpret failure, and how you treat others. The person with a kind inner dialogue radiates calm confidence, while the one at war with their own thoughts carries tension everywhere they go. The difference between the two is not luck or intelligence, but the quality of conversation happening within. You must learn to become your own guide. The world can inspire you, but it cannot save you from your own thoughts. If you wait for someone else to validate you, you'll always depend on their voice to feel whole. But when you learn to validate yourself, to encourage yourself, to believe in your vision, even when no one else does, you become unstoppable. Your altitude is determined not by how loud others cheer for you, but by how strongly you whisper to yourself, "Keep going." The mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of doubt, you'll grow weeds of fear. But if you plant seeds of gratitude, faith, and courage, you'll harvest peace and purpose. It's not a one-time effort. It's daily cultivation. Every morning when you wake up, Your thoughts begin shaping your reality again. You decide whether to nurture hope or despair, strength or weakness. The garden grows either way. The only difference is what you choose to plant. There will be days when your inner voice wavers, when negativity tries to creep back in. Don't fight it, observe it. Let it speak, but don't let it lead. You can always choose a higher thought, one that aligns with your true potential. You can always rewrite the script. That's the power you've always had but forgotten. The power to choose the meaning of your thoughts, and through that, the direction of your life. Your altitude, your ability to rise, to endure, to find peace in the storm. All begins with that quiet, constant conversation. The words you say to yourself in silence become the reality you live out loud. So speak wisely. Speak with love. Speak with belief. For your inner dialogue is not just talk, it is creation in progress. And when you learn to master it, there is no height you cannot reach. True altitude is not measured in achievements, wealth, or status. It is measured in the stillness of your spirit. You can climb the tallest mountain, acquire all the symbols of success, and still feel lost if peace does not live within you. The world teaches us to chase altitude in the external sense, to go higher, faster, further, as if fulfillment lies somewhere above the clouds. Yet the higher you rise without grounding, the more unstable you become. It means you are no longer controlled by external events, opinions, or expectations. You stop being a leaf tossed by the wind and become the sky itself, vast, open, unbothered. When you carry inner peace, the noise of the world cannot disturb you. You can walk through uncertainty and remain centered. You can lose things and not lose yourself. That is true altitude, the ability to stay grounded even as you rise. Without peace, success feels empty. You can have everything you thought you wanted, yet still feel restless. The outer climb becomes meaningless if your inner world is in turmoil. But when you nurture peace within, even the smallest victory feels sacred. To reach this state, you must first let go of the illusion that peace will come when life becomes perfect. Life will never be perfect. There will always be something unfinished, something unresolved, something that challenges your patience. Waiting for peace after everything settles is like waiting for the ocean to stop moving before you decide to swim. Real peace is learning to move with the waves, not against them. Every time you face a storm, you have two choices. You can resist and suffer, or accept and rise. Acceptance does not mean surrendering to defeat. It means recognizing that what is happening has a purpose, even if you can't yet see it. The moment you stop fighting with reality, you reclaim your power. You begin to flow instead of forcing. You begin to grow instead of grasping. That shift from resistance to acceptance is what lifts you to a higher plane of being. Inner peace comes from alignment, when your actions, thoughts, and values move together in harmony. Most people live in contradiction. They say one thing but feel another, desire peace but feed chaos, crave love but cling to fear. This misalignment creates inner tension. When you begin to live honestly with yourself, when your outer life reflects your inner truth, peace naturally follows. There's no need to chase it. It emerges when you stop pretending and start being. You must also learn the art of silence. True altitude requires moments of stillness, spaces where you can hear your own soul speak. The world glorifies noise and movement, But real wisdom lives in quiet observation. When you sit in silence long enough, you begin to see clearly that most of your pain comes from overthinking, from attaching too much meaning to fleeting things. The silent mind doesn't overreact, it understands. It accepts what is, and that acceptance transforms everything. When you rise internally, you no longer measure success in numbers or applause. You measure it in peace of mind. You stop comparing yourself to others because you understand that everyone is flying at their own altitude. You begin to bless others instead of competing with them. You no longer feel threatened by their success because you've found your own place in the sky. That is the beauty of true altitude. It is boundless, and it belongs to no one. There is a moment in every person's journey when they realize that peace is not the end of the path. It is the path itself. You rise not by doing more, but by being less burdened, not by accumulating, but by releasing. The higher you go within, the lighter you become. And as you shed fear, doubt, and attachment, you begin to float effortlessly. The greatest altitude you will ever reach is not a destination, but a state of being. It's when you can look at life, its joys and sorrows, its gains and losses, and feel gratitude for it all. When you can smile even in uncertainty, when you can love even after pain, when you can trust even after being broken, that's when you've truly risen. The world measures height by how far you can go. The soul measures it by how peaceful you can remain while going there. When you master inner peace, you've already reached the highest point there is. Because in that serenity, you discover that you were never trying to climb, you were learning to fly. Life isn't about how high you climb in the eyes of the world, but how deeply you rise within yourself. Every challenge, every storm, every silence was never meant to break you. It was meant to awaken you. The truth is, your attitude has always been the compass guiding your altitude. When your perception shifts, your energy transforms. When your beliefs align with courage and faith, the universe responds in harmony. You've learned that perception shapes reality. Belief fuels motion. Energy attracts outcomes, and the right attitude turns struggle into strength. You've seen how your inner dialogue builds the foundation for your rise, and how peace, not pride, defines your true altitude. If you remember one thing, let it be this: you were never limited by the world, only by the thoughts you chose to repeat. Change your inner world, and the outer world bends to meet your new vibration. Walk forward now, not chasing, not competing, but ascending through understanding. Let your attitude be the wind that carries you, your peace be the ground that steadies you, and your faith be the sky that knows no limit. Because when you rise within, nothing outside can ever pull you down.